Hello all. Welcome to the day 2 of Impetus 2020, the Global Summit on Artificial Intelligence in Journalism, organized by the Department of Media Studies and Quality Assurance Cell of Nagar College, Trivandrum, Kerala, India. The summit is in association with AI Journalism for Research and Forecasting, UAE. I am Manju Rose Matthews, Head of the Department of Media Studies, Nagar College, Maranellur. On behalf of the Principal, Dr. Jolie Jacob, Director and Manager, Reverend Dr. Tito Verghese CMI, Program Coordinator, ML Abraham, Tara CB, Reverend Father Tinto Pulinjuvelil, Nino PK, and also Mrs. Libby Kurian, Head of the Department, Computer Science, and the student coordinators, Gauri S. Dev and Anup Dev Kishore. We welcome the speakers, Dr. Mohamed Abdulzaher from Dubai, Dr. Nicholas Diakopoulos from Illinois, United States, and Dr. Shiva Kintali from California. We have participants joining in from all across India and all over the world. The participants include media students, media educators, researchers, journalists, computer science students, and artificial intelligence professionals. I kindly request Gauri S. Dev, our final year student, journalism student, to welcome all on behalf of the students.
Good evening, a warm word of welcome to everyone. Myself, Gauri S. Dev. Now we are heading towards the second day of Impetus 2020, Global Summit on Artificial Intelligence in Journalism, organized by Department of Media Studies and IQAC, Nagar College, in association with AI Journalism for Research and Broadcasting, UAE. Today also we have three predominant speakers. Dr. Mohamed Abdulzaher, CEO, AI Journalism for Research and Broadcasting, UAE. He is an assistant professor in Digital Public Relations and Artificial Intelligence Journalism. We will be discussing about AI journalism and 7G journalism, the future of media beyond AI technologies. Dr. Nicholas Diakopoulos, Professor of Computational Journalism, Northwestern University, USA. He is the Director of Graduate Studies for the Technologies and Social Behavior PhD program. He will be discussing on the topic Automating the News, how algorithms are rewriting the media. Third speaker is Dr. Shiva Kintali, CEO of TrueDat Inc. USA. He is the public speaker on AI blockchain, cryptography and game theory and their socio-economic and cultural background. He will be dealing with the topic, full-stack photojournalism using AI and blockchain. I would like to thank all the three speakers who are here with us today, and I welcome all of them in behalf of all the audience who are here with us. Hope you will enjoy the sessions. Thank you.
Thank you, Gauri, and that was a warm welcome. In our opening day session, on last Thursday, we had three eminent speakers. Professor Vasudeva Verma from IIIT Hyderabad illustrated how new technologies in artificial intelligence and machine learning are shaping the media space. Professor Charlie Beckett from London School of Economics emphasized that journalism is for social good and journalists and newsrooms need to adopt new technologies and tools to bring accuracy and truthfulness in journalism. Francisco Marconi took us through how AI is impacting all value points of news industry and the critical role of human intelligence. The recording of the sessions are made available in our YouTube channel. We have an exciting lineup of expert speakers for today's session as well. Our first speaker is Dr. Mohamed Abdulzaher, CEO of Artificial Intelligence for Research and Forecasting, UAE. Dr. Mohamed Abdulzaher is an assistant professor in digital public relations and artificial intelligence journalism. He holds a PhD in mobile applications development and e-governance. He is advisor to UAE government and a media strategic planner. Dr. Abdulzaher is a bilingual business editor and economic analyst for multiple news organizations. He postulated the first artificial intelligence journalism model of communication. He has about 80 published researches and reports in English and Arabic, in media studies, and in the field of artificial intelligence journalism. He has over 20 years of media experience in online and print. His experience covers working as bilingual editor, journalist, and trainer with the BBC World Service, the United Nations, the Financial Times Group, and Thomson Reuters. Artificial Intelligence Journalism for Research and Forecasting, AIJRF, is a scientific research institution founded by Dr. Abdulzaher, specializing in the study and forecasting of artificial intelligence journalism, the future of traditional and new media, and the techniques of the fourth industrial revolution and its effects on humanity. Dear participants, please use the Mentimeter link in the chat box to ask your questions to the speakers. Our moderator, my colleague Minu PK, shall select the questions and put to the speakers. The title of Dr. Mohamed Abdulzaher's session is AI Journalism and 7G Journalism, the future of media beyond AI technologies. Welcome, Dr. Mohamed Abdulzaher.
Good evening or good afternoon, everybody in India and UAE, and also good morning for everybody in United States. Thank you so much, Dr. Mango, and on behalf of myself and my team in our think tank organization, AI Journalism for Research and Forecasting in Dubai, I would like to thank you so much about your great job during the first day and second day and during all this time, also with your team. And actually, I'd like to welcome my co-speakers as well and all audience from GCC or from India or from other countries. Today, okay. Actually, I was preparing a brief about AI journalism for research and forecasting, but Dr. Manjo, sorry, you are covering everything. You have given a perfect brief about myself, about the organization, so it's really much appreciated. My speech today about artificial intelligence journalism and 7G journalism, the future of media adapted to the fourth and the fifth industrial revolutions. So, and a quick brief about AI journalism for research and forecasting. We are a think tank. We has been established 2 years ago in Dubai with some partners and academic people who are working in AI and media. AI journalism, a global leading think tank in research and forecasting, shaping the future of AI adapted to human. Anything related to human being and AI, we are forecasting, we are searching in that. Also, AI GRF cares about every new AI technologies. Anything has positive impact or in our daily life, we are considering in that. So my speech today about AI journalism, the 7 journalism future of media beyond the AI technologies. We're going to talk about 4 sessions. The first one about media and industry revolutions from the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. Second,
Professor, sorry to interrupt. Could you make it full screen?
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
Second will be what happens to the media during the fourth and fifth industrial revolution. Third, I'm going to show what is the concept of AI journalism as we are working on that. Also, what is the 7G journalism? So, media and industrial revolutions. All of you know that we have the first, second, third, and fourth. So, how will media formed during this different period of time? So I'll almost, most of the time, I just summarize each industrial revolution in one word. So if we say the first industrial revolution, we say mechanization. So the second will be electronization. Third, digitization. And the fourth one we are living now, it's robotization. So this is a short term about how describe the industrial revolution all that time. So all the fifth industrial revolution, we can say there is fifth will come soon. So they have the 4 common features. These common features designs the relationship between human and communication tools. So the top of this feature will be human and communication. How people communicate with each other. This is the main change that all industrial revolutions started to relieve on the people life. Second feature is machine and tool. What kind of machine or tools that the industrial revolution provide to people? Third is what kind of integration between communication and people. That integration, kind of integration we can see, we can feel between human and communication and machine and tools in that period. This should be one of the features. Fourth, what kind of opportunities? Any industrial revolution, not only industrial revolution, any technology changes in the world, it leaves some opportunities, sometimes solution, sometimes it leaves some challenges to people. So if we're going to start about the first industrial revolution, I call this is a commercial revolution because search for I say it's a good revolution in media in that time that Illustrated London News has been founded in 1948 as the world's first illustrated weekly newspaper. This is came to in the first industrial revolution. So also if we change to the second industrial revolution, countries came from US, Philippines, Canada, Australia. So the cable started to cross all countries all over many regions of the world, and this has helped a lot in kind of disturb the message, is kind of support the media tools in that time. Also, printing was invented in that early 1950, and there was a great development in the use of the prints, increasing number of copies of printed newspaper. This is the second communications. This is all the period of the third industrial revolution we are still live in now. It has a huge and significant impact on media, how media has a very big revolution according to
Hello. Hello, Professor. The voice is breaking. Could you please switch off the video? Maybe that would increase the bandwidth.
okay, you want me? Okay.
Yeah. For the time being, when you're presenting, you can switch off the video. Okay, we can see your screen and we can listen to your voice also. No problem, I think. Yeah, please continue, sir.
That's revolution in 4 technologies. One of the three technologies, sorry, physical and digital and biological technologies. So if we talk about physical, I say physical is just something hard copies, something you can see, something you can touch. So like the 3D printing, drones, the advanced robotics, self-driving cars, all of these technologies, we can say this is physical. Engineering, science, innovation across all the biological, something related to human being, health, healthcare science. This is the biological technologies. So now, what we think about shaping the future of human after the fourth industrial revolution. So there is the fifth industrial revolution. I called it HR. People, but also co-designing both of them. So cooperation between in designing future between machine and human. Engagement. The fifth industrial revolution will come to engagement, enhance and
Hello, Professor. Hello. Your voice is breaking on our end. So could you, I think the bandwidth at your end is low. That is why we are getting disturbances in between and your voice is breaking in between. So maybe could you do something on at your end?
Can you stop sharing my screen a while?
Yeah, we can see your screen, but your voice is getting, yeah, it breaks in between.
Okay. So
Now it's fine. Maybe if you have any other thing that is sharing your Wi-Fi or internet connection, maybe you can switch it off. Right now it is sounding fine, but for quite some time we couldn't hear properly what you were saying. It's breaking still.
yeah, okay. How about now?
Yeah, now it's fine.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So we can summarize the first and second and third. So the first industrial revolution is mechanization, water power, stream power. Second, mass production. Third is computer and automation. Fourth, cyber physical systems. And fifth would be like we say a human and machine merging or integration. So what happens to the media? What happened to the media during the fourth and fifth industrial revolution? This is the main core question for today. So for all students, for academic people, we know that the communication processing has channel, sender, receiver, content, message, and feedback and other stuff. This is if we have looked about previous theories or previous modules of communication, we will find channel has separate rule, sender has a separate rule, receiver has a separate rule. But in fourth, in AI journalism and the 7G journalism, all elements are doing the same job. And channel can be a sender, channel can be a receiver, channel can be a message, channel can be a place where we can send feedback. So what happens to media during the fourth and fifth industrial revolution is kind of, we can say that kind of merging all the communication process elements. So the media industry and all elements of communication process have evolved from the single rule stage of the sender, which was in the first industrial revolution, then to the interactive rule between sender and receiver or sender or or audience, we can say this is the second industrial revolution. And then it moves to the third dimension rule of sender, period, audience, and the medium or the channel. We can say it's an internet. So this is the third industrial revolution. Then to continuous, I say it continuously, integrative and circle rule between all elements of the communication process, from the sender, audience, channel, and the feedback, all media content presented by one element or one person. So this is the fifth and the fourth industrial revolution, or we can say AI journalism and 7G journalism. So quick, what is the concept of AI journalism and what are the technologies of the fourth industrial revolution that we can in media or our country rely on this period? AI journalism means the new media revolution, where the media depends on all technologies of the fourth industrial revolution, such as AI technologies, blockchain, big data, robot, 3D printing, Internet of Things, and many more. Last 2 years, when I have issued my first book about AI journalism, I asked many questions. I have been asked many questions on could be believed that the world relies on a high intelligent infrastructure, say, or intelligent cities, or intelligent ways in life, faster communication, networks, robots, everywhere, smart cameras, and we still using the same communication like third or the second industrial revolution? Of course, no. So AI journalism is the concept refers to the interactions of three pillars revolution, the new media revolution of fourth industrial revolution, and the AI-enabled technology revolution using in media. So in AI journalism, all news broadcast is completely managed without human. Expect some people, of course, behind the scene who has the ability to write, who have the ability to doing the mind job. The report will cover all events. The report present anything. We can use the 3D printing everywhere. We can use the big data. We can use the cloud computing. So everywhere in media we can use the AI journalism technologies, but we not replace human. This is for students or for people who is worried about replacing our job in the future. So in AI journalism, there is a 5 main features that can define the artificial intelligence journalism. Okay, one of them is a limited speed in media industry and changes. Second is new technologies to play new rules. Third, merging of all elements of communication process. Fourth, reducing the gatekeeper rules. Fifth, media companies, we can say traditional media companies, will disappear. So if we're gonna start about the first one, limited speed in media industry and changes. This one, if we compare previously, starting from the first, second or third industrial revolutions, we see how people or how the world changed from printing era to radio era to TV to satellite to internet. There is a big gap between each stage of this tools or this technology to work in media. But in the fourth industrial revolution, fifth industrial revolution, very fast, unlimited changes. Online journalism, after 2 years, social media works, mobile journalism apps, robot journalism, AI journalism. So very short periods of time between all these kind of changes in the fourth industrial revolution comparing to the previous revolutions. A second pillar is new technologies to play new rules. Yeah, we have lots of technologies, many of them adapted to media now, like mobile devices, big data analysis, and advanced Internet of Things platform, 3D printing, a blockchain, smart sensors, cloud computing, advanced human machine. All of these technologies has significant role in media now, as they are a product of the fourth industrial revolution. If we can talk about AIoT platforms, will also have a huge impact on the growth of AI. It supports and provides continuous and fast communication between various media tools such as cameras, studios, computer, cell phones, satellite, and so on. Big data analysis will also be added to that. We check the Intel estimated that the amount of data has been generated by humans since the beginning of history till 2003. It was like 5 exabytes, but from 2003 till 20, it's duplicated with a huge number, like 500 times. In 212, it reached to 2.7 zettabytes. All of these big data deal about me, about you, about companies, about people, about country, it's much beyond the ability of human and journalists. So once you use the AI to analyze all this big data, you can create new tools, you can create new reports, you can create a huge content, like many of newspapers using that. Bloomberg, Thomson Reuters, and Washington Post use the big data in creating kind of new and unique content. Blockchain as well. I created a new, I coined a new concept called blockchain news. How we gonna use the blockchain technology in news? How to use it to get our right content? How to use it in creating creating a right news, and how to fight or how to get against the false content or the false news. We can use it by blockchain news. Also, robotization of marketing. Many of social media platforms like Facebook, like Instagram, like Twitter, they are using now AI and report for creating content related to people and customers, and promoting many stuff. So this kind of robotization of marketing will replace the digital marketing as a tool of the fourth industrial revolution technologies. Also, clouding computing platforms, media, especially huge media, wants new platforms, cloud platforms, to save huge big data. So the cloud computer platforms will be a good tool for the media in a period of artificial intelligence journalism. Augmented realities or mixed reality as well will be a good tool, will be a very good tool as well in media. And I think that's the time, so I have like 5 minutes, if I'm not wrong. The fourth feature is reducing gatekeeper rules, because of the new technology of the AI and fourth industrial revolution will reduce the gatekeeper to control most of our content or media and journalists. So the fifth feature is disappearance of the traditional media companies. I see it in the future, like if after 10 years or most of traditional media companies will disappear, and they have to adapt to the new technology of AI or the fourth industrial revolution to live and to work effectively. Now, with the fifth industrial revolution, I expect there is a new technology in media, or there is a new period of media. I called it 7G journalism. It adapted to the 7G network. So 7G journalism, it's I said it beyond the artificial intelligence technologies. So the fifth industrial revolution is no area which human and machine, as I briefed before. So the 7G journalism is a new concept. It's a type of media which follows AI journalism area and will lead media revolution during the rise of fifth industrial revolution. And I expect it to start in 2040. 7G journalism, a new era, developing, upgrading, restructuring of media industry fully with the technology of fifth industrial revolution, where media institutions were replaced with small, we can say small media centers around all the world, and can play a very good role comparing to the traditional formatting of organization we are seeing now. So the global, we'll see global citizenship ID, no spirit, no borders, one global ID, global record of human talents. So all these new technologies will create a new revolution. I called it 7G journalism revolution, where people can play all the communication and media elements. I can be the sender, I can be the channel, I can be the feedback channel, I can be all media elements, I can play it on myself. So this is 7G journalism period. Will come with the 7G network. And this is the brief about it. There are 4 features that define the 7G journalism as well. 7G has the capacity of forecasting the news and the reports. 7G will rely on the technology of 7G network. 7G journalism, the sender will be non-exist from the elements of the communication process. 7G journalism will help to new anonymous media organizations to play a significant role in all the world. This is the end, and thank you so much. I'm so sorry about the technical issue I have faced. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Zahir, for the insightful opening presentation. Even though we had some technical problems, we restored it, and now everything was perfect. And now my colleague Nino PK shall moderate the question and answer session.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
I'm Nino, and I'll be moderating the question and answer session. Unfortunately, because of the limited time, we are forced to just narrow down the question to just one question. So shall we begin?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So this is the question. A bad workman always blames his tools. Will this impact the implementation of AI in many news organizations? If so, how are we going to deal with it? This question is by Shahjahan.
Okay, I'm talking about. I'm never say that AI will replace people. This is not for me. It's not logic, because people who created the AI technologies and everything. So for workers, for any, I think AI will replace just little and many simple jobs, but the jobs that rely on human mind, rely in thinking, rely on creative, nobody can replace it. So I said always the fourth industrial revolution will create many sectors of new technologies and new jobs, so people can find, if they say like WAF, they said 800 or million will replace. No, we can find 1 million new jobs in the fourth and the fifth industrial revolution.
Thank you, sir. So as I told you earlier, that because of the time, limited time, we are just forced to ask only this question. Thank you so much for cooperating with us. Now I'll hand over the mic to Manju ma'am.
Thank you so much for you all, and sorry for the bad communication.
Thank you, Dr. Mohamed Abdulzaher. As you rightly said, the success of AI in the media depends on the use of all technologies in the fourth industrial revolution. which combines the use of multitude of technologies such as blockchain, big data, data analysis, robotics, 3D printing, the Internet of Things, as well as artificial intelligence. This is quite insightful. We look forward to having you for advanced sessions of AI journalism. Good luck for your efforts through AIJRF in bridging the information gap between the North and Global South, providing training resources for journalists in the developing countries in adopting AI technologies and tools. Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Dr. Nicholas Diakopoulos. Nicholas Diakopoulos is an associate professor in communication studies and computer science at Northwestern University, United States, where he is director of the Computational Journalism Lab, CJL, and the director of graduate studies for the Technology and Social Behavior PhD program. Diakopoulos' research is in computational journalism with active research projects on algorithmic accountability and transparency, automation and algorithms in news production, and social media in news contexts. Together with the team of Washington Post, Diakopoulos developed a news discovery tool for the US 2020 presidential elections. Their goal was to use a data set of a few 100 million registered voters across the US to try and find interesting locations where a political journalist might go in order to discover a demographic trend in the electorate. He is the author of the award-winning book, Automating the News: How Algorithms Are Rewriting the Media, from Harvard University Press. Title of the session is Making Automation, Algorithm and AI Work for Journalism. Welcome, Nick.
Thank you so much, Manju. Really appreciate that very generous introduction. And I'm excited to be here today to share with you some of my research on this topic. I guess I should go ahead and share my slides at this point. Okay. And I can give a little bit of a presentation.
Okay.
Are we good there?
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. Again, I'm Nick Diakopoulos. I'm a professor of communication studies and computer science at Northwestern University. I run the Computational Journalism Lab there. We study, we design, we build technologies related to computational, algorithmic, automated, and AI-driven journalism. So I'm going to kind of jump right in here and talk about the book a little bit. So this is my book, Automating the News: How Algorithms Are Rewriting the Media. And I spent the better part of the last couple of years writing this book on these various topics. It covers, everything from how to data mine large data sets to find new stories, how to automatically generate content, whether written or other forms of media, the use of social bots to disseminate information or interact and engage with people on social media, algorithms and distribution. So all of the optimization algorithms, all of the curation algorithms that we see in our feeds and on our home pages every day. And then also kind of flipping things around and thinking about how the growth of AI in society has created a new beat, really, a new opportunity for journalists to investigate algorithms, investigate AI, and scrutinize the ways in which algorithms and AI influence us and exert power over us. I think you'll see if you read the book, it really emphasizes a very human-centered approach towards the future of technology and journalism. So, I like showing this slide, kind of get this out of the way. AI is, I think, fairly hyped right now, or actually I could add an animation there and maybe it's even more hyped now. We've certainly seen a lot of exciting advances in technology. Fully automated news production is tantalizing without a doubt. And there are some genuinely impressive and helpful applications of AI in news production. We should celebrate those. It can enhance investigative journalism with machine learning. We can create new interactive media like news bots. We can optimize content for distribution. And we can generally enhance the scale and the speed, the efficiency, and the breadth and personalization of content that we can produce. But I think it's important to emphasize the people. Behind the curtain of AI, we really kind of need to understand the designers, the editors, the reporters, the data scientists, the engineers, who are all contributing in their own ways to the appearance of intelligence in these systems. And I think once we sort of cut through the AI hype, we can start to see some of the human aspects and the people in the process a little bit more clearly. And so to do that, in particular today, I want to talk about a couple of the main themes of my book. The first is editorial values in AI technology. And the second is how humans and algorithms are increasingly hybridized in news production. So in terms of news values, all technologies, including and probably especially AI technologies, embed and encode human values. They reflect choices like the data that was used to train the system, how the data was defined and sampled, how algorithms are parameterized and defaults are chosen, what inputs a system even pays attention to, and of course, whether some aspects of the world are quantified while perhaps other aspects of the world are left unquantified. I think it's important to remember that AI systems are tools. They're built by people to serve particular human means and ends. We're not talking about artificial general intelligence here. And because of that, these tools have political valence. They reflect the values that designers and developers build into them. I think this suggests an interesting opportunity for journalists and for news organizations to become better aware of and exercise their ability to embed their own organizational, institutional, and professional values into the technologies that then drive news production. If it's not going to be journalistic values and journalistic ideology, then alternative values from non-editorial stakeholders or non-journalistic media companies and platforms will end up filling that void. And so when I talk to practitioners about this topic, I tend to emphasize that you can think of AI as a new medium. It's a medium in which journalists can express and exercise their ethical and normative values through the code that they implement, the tools that they create. So the second theme here is hybridization. So every wave of new technology, whether it's telephony, photography, or just copy machines, has somehow changed the nature of roles, of tasks, and workflows in the newsroom. AI is really no different in that regard. It's also a technology. It has already and will continue to change news work, and it often complements but rarely entirely substitutes for a trained journalist. So some economists have actually estimated that only about 15% of a reporter's job and maybe only about 9% of an editor's job could be automated using current levels of AI technology. Humans still have an edge over non-Hollywood AI in two key areas that are essential to journalism: complex communication and expert thinking. So things like reporting, listening, responding and pushing back, negotiating with sources, and then having the creativity to put that all together. AI can't do any of these sort of indispensable journalistic tasks, though it can often augment human work to make it more efficient or high quality. More often than not, what I found in my research is that AI technologies tend to create new types of work, like having to configure, parameterize, set up, create knowledge management systems, create data, define data, collect data, write templates, and generally set up and operate these automated systems. So far from destroying jobs in journalism, what I found is that AI actually appears to be creating new work and new jobs. So let me drill into these themes a little bit more and give you some examples. So this is one example that I think illustrates the first theme of values, human values in AI, and in particular news values. So what I'm showing here is the Claimbuster project. Claimbuster is a tool that was developed at the University of Texas at Arlington. And what it does is it's a machine learning tool, and it learns to look at sentences in a text and rate those sentences on a scale from 0 to 1, according to how worthy they are of having a fact check made to them. And so you can see this in this example, I ran it on an older speech from 2016 here. So journalists can use this tool to identify claims that are being made in the media that might be worthy of their attention in fact checking. And so by orienting their attention and shaping the attention of journalists, this can reduce the costs of finding certain types of claims so that they can follow up on them. And so, these data mining algorithms like Claimbuster may end up influencing what facts get checked. And in turn, that could shape the news that's available for public consumption. So let me show you a little bit of an evaluation of Claimbuster now. So in this chart, I'm showing you this evaluation done by the creators of Claimbuster, where they compared claims identified by the algorithm to claims that were manually selected for fact checking by CNN and PolitiFact. And so you can see CNN is in the medium gray and PolitiFact is in the light gray. The findings showed that Claimbuster identified more claims about the economy and fewer claims about social issues. So if reporters were to solely rely on Claimbuster to identify and guide their attention towards these check-worthy factual claims, this could end up decreasing the attention that fact checkers give to social issues. And this is an outcome that we may not think is desirable from a public interest standpoint. Another Claimbuster evaluation that was done on 21 transcripts from the US presidential debates in 2016 showed that Donald Trump had fewer check-worthy factual claims identified by the algorithm in comparison to Clinton. And this sort of suggests that Trump's rhetoric and his mode of communication may have made his statements less susceptible to being highlighted by the algorithm. So as these automated fact spotting techniques become adopted in practice, I think an important question will be to assess how they impact the coverage of various types of stories, various claims, events, and modes of political rhetoric. Journalists are going to need to become more cognizant of the ways that these algorithms orient or divert their attention in characteristic ways, and the people need to be ready to fill in the gaps as needed. So to understand the limitations of the tool. So let me go a little bit further here. I should add that, it's not just fact spotting systems where this matters. There's an increasing number of tools used for computational news discovery within newsrooms, not to mention the variety of algorithms which shape the distribution of news. And these approaches raise interesting questions about how algorithms embed evaluative and normative criteria like newsworthiness, and how they come to shape the editorial attention of journalists or of the public. So, what is selected to become news is contingent on a range of individual, organizational, social, normative, economic, and technical forces. Different criteria are important to different journalists in different combinations or at different times. And so I think it's interesting that newsworthy isn't really an intrinsic property. It's very contextual, it's interpretive, and it may even be story specific. And so I think it's an exciting research challenge here is going to be to develop algorithms that are sensitive to all these contextual variations and configurable and controllable by reporters and editors. So one of the current research projects in my lab is trying to explore these ideas of how to operationalize and parameterize news values in the context of news discovery. This project is called Algorithm Tips. You can visit it online at algorithmtips.org. And the idea of the site is to lower the cost for journalists to begin investigating algorithmic decision-making systems used in government. In addition to the examples and the resources that we curate on the site, we are also building a database of leads, which looks something like this. The way that we assemble this database is actually to use an automated monitoring apparatus that scrapes government documents every week using a search engine technique. And then we score and rank those documents using a machine learning model that we trained on these documents. We incorporate crowdsourcing feedback, and we also have an editor who checks everything over before it's published. In creating the information process, we thought pretty carefully about the news values that we were including and how they're implemented in the system. So for instance, the idea of topical relevance of these leads, this comes from the machine learned score. The idea of proximity is supported by automatically created metadata. But we also have dimensions like potential for controversy, which you can see there at the bottom, and things like number of people impacted, which are supported by our crowdsourcing process, which asks a number of people to rate the lead along these various newsworthiness dimensions. So all of this information is synthesized and can help support an expert journalist in making the final determination of whether they think something is worth pursuing. One other example of designing news values into tools is this prototype that Manju mentioned that I designed and developed while on sabbatical at the Washington Post in the fall of 2019. The underlying concept here relates to how and whether you can use AI to help detect newsworthiness in a data set. The design challenge was really about how to align the system we were building with journalistic conceptions of news values, which help inform how journalists choose items to turn into news stories. The premise of the tool is that we would provide a list of tip sheets on different variables that are being data mined from the US voter file. This is the large data set, including every registered voter in the United States, and includes millions of records, almost 200 million records. When you drill into one of the tip sheets, it looks like something like this, what I'm showing you here. The goal is to rank counties in the US according to state and according to the potential newsworthiness of that county along several dimensions. We want to help journalists identify places in the United States where they can go to do reporting. Now, keep in mind that we're not framing this as fully formed story ideas. There's a lot of additional reporting that needs to be done to turn these leads into real journalism. But the premise here is very much one of hybridization, where the algorithm is able to sift through these hundreds of millions of records to identify interesting patterns, and then the expert journalists can apply their own expertise in dialogue with the tool as they decide what is really worth their time and effort to pursue. Now, in terms of the news values, we tried to capture some notion of political relevance. So you can see this in the information design of the tip sheet. So we look at things like the party vote margin, the shift between 2012, 2016, and 2018, if there's an open congressional seat, if the county has flipped its support from party to party. We integrate some location context, like the population rate, whether it's an urban, suburban, or rural county. We have a link to additional census information and a link to the raw data if you want to see the underlying numbers there. And I should say that a major design effort here was to think through what data was available and then how to align things with news values and really how to make the tool valuable to journalists. And so we ended up doing a lot of user evaluation. And I think the really gratifying thing is that this tool was actually used and was able to help guide some journalists at the Post to important locations for their reporting. Whoops, sorry. In this case, some video journalists were drawn to do a report about Erie County, Pennsylvania, because the tool showed them that there was a particular low voter registration rate there, and also keyed them into things like the partisan swing from 2012 to 2016 to 2018. So both of the last couple of examples demonstrated how news values could be incorporated into tools, as well as how work could be hybridized between AI and humans. But in this example, let me also offer you something that gets a little bit more directly at this idea of hybridization of algorithms and humans. So this is an article that was produced by the Radar project out of the United Kingdom. So Radar is a project, it's a team of several data reporters and a couple of editors that produces on average about 8,000 local stories per month across the United Kingdom. Its stories are run by various local media outlets that subscribe to a wire service that it provides. And you're looking at, in the slides, at one example of an article that they generated. To produce these kinds of localized stories, Radar uses freely available open government data sets that are tabulated by government area. So each reporter develops about 2 stories per week into data-driven templates, which include fragments of text and logical if-then-else rules for how to translate the data into location-specific text. The core structures of the stories might be somewhat similar across versions, but the details will be locally tailored. The data journalists are tasked with first finding out various angles and storylines for the data. So this is a fundamentally creative process. They do reporting to add kind of broad brushstrokes background information. They gather national context. And that reporting context is written into the template with that basic story structure. And then the automation is used as more of a production assistant to adapt some of the text in the templates to the local level. So automation is certainly working in collaboration here with people, but it's more as a lever for human effort, how to scale up human effort. Radar uses this tool called ARIA Studio. I think it sort of gives you a hint at what hybridization looks like in practice. In reality, it's really just a more complex interface for word processing. You could think of it almost as an alien word processor that lets the author write fragments of text that are controlled by these data-driven if-then-else rules, along with some mathematical functions. And what I think is really interesting about this is that I think a lot of the advances that we've seen to date, particularly in industry, in terms of automated writing, are coming mostly as a result of what I see as essentially user interface innovations. So figuring out better ways, more effective ways to marry the expertise of journalists together with the capabilities of automation. So stepping back a little bit to look at this theme of hybridization, I think this example really kind of demonstrates how automation is used in concert with human effort. In the hybridization of work, more often than not, AI technologies, as I mentioned, actually end up creating new types of work related to updating, tweaking, validating, and maintaining these systems. A lot of this work will be relatively routine, such as making sure the data streams are updated or editing databases or spreadsheets to reflect new details. But we also need higher levels of labor here in terms of supervision and management of these systems. So automation editors are needed to assess the quality of the content produced, to be available to post corrections in case the automation doesn't behave as expected once it's in operation. Engineers may need to be involved in figuring out errors that crop up. Why was there an error? And how do I prevent this error or a similar error in the future? And as newsrooms expand their use of automation, I think we're also going to need strategists who will need to keep an eye on the big picture to know when to deploy, decommission, or redevelop a system as it adapts over time. In general, I think we'll see newsroom skills, tasks, and even jobs evolve with respect to automated content systems. And while I don't see automation leading to massive unemployment in journalism, I think it will nevertheless have implications for the labor force. But I think it's fair to say that many of the new roles emerging in this domain will need editorial thinking as much as they need a capacity to understand data and the capabilities of the state-of-the-art tools. Finally, I'll just add that I think there's a lot of really meaningful research to do in understanding the roles and tasks of journalists in these type of hybrid workflows, and to study the ways in which journalists and AI can effectively interact and collaborate. So in closing, I just want to remind everyone that I think, in my opinion, it really does ultimately come back to people. I think what animates algorithms and AI are the people who design, develop, operate, and manage these systems. And so I think the future of algorithmic media must be human-centered. So I'll end there. Thank you very much. My contact information is there, and I'd be happy to be in touch. Thanks so much. And happy to take questions now too.
Thank you, Nicholas, for the inspiring session. And our participants have flooded with questions, actually, for you. And our moderator, Nino P.K., shall moderate the question and answer.
Fantastic, thanks.
Hello, sir.
Hi.
I'm Nino, and I'll be moderating the question and answer session. So shall we begin?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay. So this is the first question. What are the basic courses that a journalism student should pursue to have a good fundamental understanding about computational journalism?
Yeah, that's a great question. Sort of like, how do you get into this? I think there's definitely a need to understand data literacy. I call it data thinking in my book, sort of how to understand the world through data. Because AI systems understand the world through data, I think to kind of get into this, you really need to understand how that impacts the way AI sees the world. Of course, there are advanced, data courses, data journalism, basic statistics, advanced statistics. For a number of years, I think people have been questioning, does every journalist need to know how to program or code? I would come down on the side of saying that not every journalist needs to know how to code, but I think even just taking an introductory programming course can go a long way to helping you understand where could things go wrong, or how do I understand how this system is really kind of coming together and processing information. So I would generally encourage people to at least take an intro programming course. And there's plenty of ways to do this now. I mean, there's tons of free courses to learn R or Python, and you have like Coursera courses and so on, which are entire sequences to learn this material.
Okay. Thank you, sir. So we will move on to the next question. This is our next question. How would be artificial intelligence helpful for reshaping and rethinking serious and accountable journalism?
Yeah, I think that's also a really good question. I think what I've seen so far is that AI has been useful for scaling up and increasing the scope and the comprehensive and ultimately the quality of accountability journalism. So you see it deployed in a few cases now to help rank and score documents, to direct journalists' attention to documents that are more likely to be impactful or interesting for an investigation. So I certainly, I think we're already seeing that. And we're trying to also, I mentioned the algorithm tips project, which, by the way, everyone is welcome to use that database if you go to algorithmtips.org. So the algorithm tips, tries to use machine learning kind of at the front end of the funnel, if you will. So if we want more journalists to investigate algorithms in society, our goal is to make it easier for journalists to find out about those algorithms in government. So it's not the idea that like a journalist already knows what they're investigating or they already know what the story is going to be. It's more like, help me understand the world on this beat, try to scope down that world to a narrower subset of leads that I may or may not pick up and investigate, but we certainly are hoping that we can stimulate journalists to investigate some of that material.
Thank you so much. Now we will move on to the third question of the session. I think this question is from India because it's evening here. The question is, can we apply the same approach to the advertising realm? For example, like programmatic advertising?
Yeah. Good evening as well. Good morning from where I am. I think it's interesting. I think there are some startups out there that are thinking about how to apply automated content production more in the realm of advertising. You may have heard of some of the latest synthetic media tools like GPT-3. This is out of OpenAI. It's a very powerful language model that's been trained essentially on all of the internet. And there are some people who are experimenting with, can we generate advertising copy programmatically using a model like that to synthesize different copy for different people. I'm not aware of the results of that work yet. I think people have sort of just started trying out some of these things. And as I mentioned, there are some startups kind of playing in this space, but I think we'll see over time like how that evolves. I mean, I will say that it's a little bit scary, when you think about starting to try and marry things like synthetic text generation or automatic text generation, advertising, and targeting on platforms like Facebook. So, when we start to combine all those things, you can imagine a heavily personalized advertising environment, which, I mean, I suppose if you're interested in selling things, that could be a good thing. If you're interested in protecting a democracy, you might be a little bit more worried about the potential for these types of technologies to come together to manipulate people or to push on people's cognitive biases or cognitive weak points through kind of targeted, tailored messaging. We'll see how that all plays out. But I just kind of, I think in the book, I try to stay upbeat and positive about a lot of these technologies, particularly because I try to see it through the lens of professional journalism. And I think that within the value structure of professional journalism, it's easy to make that assumption that journalists have a strong ethical code. They have some accountability to the public, and so the ways in which they use automation are in some sense constrained a bit. But once you get outside of that sort of professional journalism, you look at advertising or politics, some of these same technologies can be used in ways that I think argue negative consequences of the technology. So I think it's important to be aware of that.
Thank you, sir. So we will move on to the next question of the session. This is a very interesting question. Even I want to know the answer. Okay, so the question is, in the 2020 presidential election, what were the different AI tools used by the newsrooms to check false claims by the candidates and those by the media biased to any of the political parties?
What were the different AI tools used by the newsrooms to check false claims by the candidates and those by the media biased to any of the political parties? Okay, got it. So, right, I gave this example of Claimbuster from 2016. Fast forward to 2020, there's been a lot of work in the last 4 years, really, around automated or AI-informed fact-checking tools. For the most part, AI is primarily used for what I would call fact spotting. So identifying claims that are potentially interesting to fact check, but not actually doing the fact check itself. There are some research systems that attempt to do actual fact checks, that is like to test the veracity or the validity, the veracity or the verification of an actual claim, but these are very limited. They're limited typically to straightforward sentences that are clearly grounded in data. Like, if a politician claimed something like, in the state of Michigan, I created 50,000 new jobs. Maybe you could get an AI tool to fact check that because it's such a straightforward claim, and because there's a database somewhere of the number of new jobs that were created over some time span. So you can imagine having an AI tool check that. But for the most part, that's like, people don't speak in such straightforward terms. There's usually a lot more ambiguity in the way people speak. They are speaking in compound sentences with potentially multiple claims intermixed. Claims can change over time, so it's hard for an AI to know, well, is the candidate talking about a claim from today, from last week, over what period of time are they claiming this, and so on. And so I will say, like, AI for actually doing the fact check is pretty limited, but mostly AI now is being used to help identify claims that professional fact checkers could actually look at. I'm aware of one project out of Duke University that actually uses the Claimbuster API to scan CNN transcripts every day, and everything that anyone said on CNN every day, and they rank all of the claims, and then every morning they'll send out a newsletter basically to a dozen different newsrooms, and that newsletter sort of has a top ranking of like the top 10 or 15 claims made on the news channel. And then it's really up to the journalists at that point, whether or not they want to go ahead and check that. Another tool, I wouldn't necessarily call it an AI tool, but when I was at the Washington Post last year, they were building up a big database of all of the claims, all of the false claims that President Trump had made. And so, I think by sort of establishing a database like that, it can also make it faster and easier for human journalists to search through and sort through material and, like, for instance, find if, we've already fact checked something. So if you've already fact checked something, then this tool can quickly match a new claim to a previous claim that's already been fact checked. And so that can really accelerate the process. There are some other tools out there. I know Factful in the UK has been working on some live fact-checking tools. So if you imagine something like a debate context where it's happening in real time, we're trying to understand what these candidates are saying, like, right here, right now, and you can deploy AI in that context to make the human fact-checkers faster. So to keep the human fact-checkers more tightly in the loop. So instead of it taking me 5 minutes to fact check something that the debater just said, maybe it only takes me 2 minutes because I can use an AI tool to search, and find the most relevant previously fact checked statements from that candidate. So we are seeing AI being used in a number of ways. but I think we'll continue to see it evolve. Personally, I'm a little bit pessimistic about AI that's ever going to be able to determine truth for us. I think that truth is hugely contextual, and I think that AI is oftentimes going to be missing the context that it needs in order to make a good evaluation, a faithful evaluation of the truth. And so I would strongly encourage sort of, again, this hybridization of using the AI tools to help human beings come to better truth determinations.
Thank you so much, sir. Now we will move on to the last question of the session.
Okay.
This is our last question. Mainstream medias are adopting the AI in the journalism domain, but a country like India and many third world countries, what will be the impact on the small and local news entities? Do you want me to repeat the question?
No, that's great. That's a really good question. This has come up, also in the U.S. context, but I appreciate also the Indian context, which admittedly I'm not as familiar with. But I know in the U.S. there has been some interest in trying to figure out, what AI can do on the local level and for smaller news organizations. I think there's a couple of really big challenges there. One is that smaller local news organizations will tend to have less data resources, less ability to collect, manage, clean, and deal with data. And that's going to be a key limitation to being able to use AI. Sort of going hand in hand with that, I think there's the talent question. A lot of these tools, certainly if you're going to implement them from scratch, but also in some cases, just if you want to use them, you need to have a fairly high level of skills in data and in understanding these tools. And so, what I'm seeing in the US context is a lot of that skill, a lot of the people who are highly skilled are working in national media. They're working at the Washington Post, the New York Times, Bloomberg, Reuters, all these big, national and international companies. So, what does that do to the local news ecosystem? So, I think there's a couple of ways forward here. One is that I think we're seeing, again, sorry, I'm still just kind of speaking from what I know about the US context, but we're starting to see some foundations in the US step into that void to try to bridge those gaps. So the Knight Foundation has sponsored workshops to try to think through what AI can do for local media. The Brown Institute at Columbia University has now established a local news lab where they're thinking through some of these issues. At Northwestern, in the Medill School of Journalism, they have something called the Local News Initiative, where they're thinking about some of these issues. And what I think is happening there is we're seeing sort of academia step in to try to create that bridge, to try to develop tools that are designed for local media or smaller newsrooms, which may have gaps in data or computational literacy, and create those tools so that they can be used by those smaller organizations. And I think we're still in the early phases of that. I don't think we've seen that fully play out yet. But I'm trying to be optimistic here. I think it could end up being a good thing in the sense that there is investment in building these tools specifically to help local and smaller organizations. I think the real challenge will be to understand the adoption, whether or not those tools really actually kind of, and people take them up. And then just one other thought, I mentioned this example of Radar in the UK. I think that's an example of this. So, it's a small company. I think it's, still less than a dozen people, but they're producing thousands and thousands of local news stories that can help augment the local news ecosystem. I wouldn't say it's going to replace local news. I think it's going to augment local news with some of this data reporting. But I think we can also start to see the glimmer of hope that these tools can just improve coverage just a bit more, you know, and try and increase the amount of local information that people have available to them. So maybe I'll leave it there on an optimistic note.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nicholas, for taking so much time to answer all the questions that we had. Now I'll hand over the session to Manju ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Diakopoulos, for your patience for answering the questions. And automation, algorithm, and AI here to augment the work that journalists do. It can make journalists more efficient. When journalists use new tools, it will enhance the quality of journalism processes. Thank you for the inspiring thoughts. This will certainly motivate young journalists and media students to acquire skill sets required to use these new technologies. Our sincere gratitude for joining this summit. On behalf of the participants, thank you very much for the great session. We look forward to having you for more sessions in future. Good luck for your endeavors in shaping the future of journalism. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And those were some fantastic questions.
Thank you. Yeah. Our next speaker is Dr. Shiva Kintali. Dr. Shiva Kintali is the founder and CEO of TrueDat. Before starting TrueDat, he taught in the computer science department of Princeton University for 4 years. He is a frequent public speaker on AI, blockchain, cryptography, and game theory, and their socio-economic and cultural impact. Shiva's academic and industry experience spans algorithm design, complexity theory, cryptography, machine learning, blockchain protocols, algorithmic game theory, information retrieval, high-performance computing, compiler design, and large-scale graph algorithms. He is researching blockchain protocols, scalability, stability, and privacy since 2012. Dr. Shiva received his PhD in computer science from Georgia Institute of Technology, Masters in Computer Science from University of South California, and BTech in Computer Science and Engineering from Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur. Every day, thousands of people are bullied, blackmailed, silenced, and scammed online using fake photos, fake videos, and misinformation. It is getting easier to selectively edit photos, videos, and audio, manipulate metadata of media content, and even generate fully artificial videos, example, deepfakes. In this talk, Dr. Shiva will present the implementation of a truth machine using AI and blockchain to enable a global, borderless, decentralized citizen photojournalism. The title of the session is Full Stack Photojournalism Using AI and Blockchain. Welcome, Dr. Shiva.
Yep, thank you. I'll start my screen.
Yeah.
Okay, can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, let's get started.
Okay.
Just move things around. Okay, so if you have noticed recently, there are 3 trends that are evolving. The first one is people are consuming news more and more from social media, like WhatsApp, Facebook, and Twitter. And on all these social networks, there are recommendation algorithms based on what you see. They recommend more content, and this content is mostly based on the content that you already have seen or liked before. So that's creating information bubbles and increased polarization. And on top of that, it's getting very easy to create and share fake photos and fake videos online. And there is a recent survey that concluded that fake news on social media spread 6 times faster than real news because they are written in such a way to rile up people. So let's focus on one problem, which is fake photos and fake videos. For example, it's getting very easy to, as I said, it's getting very easy to selectively edit photos, videos, and manipulate metadata and generate deepfakes. And they are usually used in bullying people, blackmailing people, and also in misinformation campaigns. And sometimes even genuine photos and videos are accused as fake. So let's look at some examples. So here is an example. The photo on the right side is real, and the photo on the left side is fake. So they replace the photo, the face of Robin Williams with the face of Jeffrey Epstein. So that's obviously a fake photo. There is an original and the face is replaced in the fake photo. So that's one definition of a fake photo. And here are a couple of examples of fake videos. So there is a video of Nancy Pelosi giving a talk, and someone reduced the speed of that video. And when you reduce the speed of the video, the video sounds like, the audio sounds like she's drunk. And the second one is the video of Joe Biden. They took the entire video of Joe Biden and removed some certain parts, and they made it sound like Joe Biden is making some racist remarks. So that's again a couple of examples of fake videos. And here are a couple of more examples. For example, ABC News broadcasted a video of a bombing, and they said that this is what's happening in Syria. But the actual video is from a Kentucky military show. So it's a real video. There are no edits in the video, but they assume that it is from Syria. It's a mistake. So that's again considered a fake news, but it happened by mistake. And again here in this photo is actually taken in Florida, and someone in Los Angeles shared this video saying that this is happening in Los Angeles beaches. So again, this is a real photo, but they shared with wrong location. So that's again considered fake photo. So here are a couple of more photos. The one on the left side was shared just one day before election, just last week. So it is a real photo, and it is shared saying that Joe Biden is not wearing mask because we are in a pandemic and he's not wearing a mask. But the actual photo is from 2009, November 2019, when there was no pandemic. So this is circulated on Twitter mainly to start a misinformation campaign. And again, the photo on the right side is from a meeting, and it's shared on social media saying that people are not wearing masks. Again, this is an old photo shared with wrong date. Here are a couple of examples from India of manipulated photos and old photos. So the point I'm trying to make here is this fake photos and fake videos. The problem is everywhere, from all spectrums of politics and from all over the world. So it's a global problem. And here is another very interesting fake photo. It's not exactly fake, but there was some crowd on a beach, and some journalists took a photo of this crowd, and he or she, they used a telephoto lens. So when you use telephoto lens, some objects that are very far away, they appear that they're very close. So that created an illusion that it's very crowded. But if you take the photo from top, or using a drone or drone photos, or drone cameras, then you will see that there is enough social distancing. So that's again considered kind of misinformation, because the type of lens that you use makes a difference. And there are also AI algorithms that can completely create artificial photos and artificial videos. Just if you give them one photo, one selfie, then they can make a video, artificial video of you speaking anything that they want you to speak. So here are a couple of examples of that technology. So the main point I'm trying to make here is it's getting very easy to edit photos or spread them on social media with a wrong narrative or make completely artificial videos. So I want to suggest a solution using two technologies. One is blockchain, other one is AI. So first, let's focus on blockchain. So we need something called a cryptographic hash function. So it's a hash function where you give any digital file as an input, and you get a 256-bit string as an output. And this function is very efficiently computable. It's a one-way function, and it's collision-free. So what do I mean by collision-free? If you give two different files, or let's say two different images or two different videos, the output that you get is completely different. And there is no way to know what the input is given only the output. For example, here is the hash value of hello world. So if I just change the capital H to lowercase h, as you can see, the output, the 256-bit string completely changes. So this is one way to keep track of the original content, whether it is manipulated or not. So even if you change one pixel of a photo, the output, the hash value completely changes. So it's a very important tool to prove authenticity of digital content, photos, videos, text files, PDF files, any digital input. Very important concept. It's good to know about how we can use this concept. And second one is blockchain. So we're going to combine this hash value and blockchain to build a truth machine. So blockchain is essentially a decentralized database. You probably know about databases. For example, when you store your, when you're posting photos on Instagram, they are stored in a database. Your photo, your name, and your description, everything is stored in a database. But they're all stored in a database controlled by Facebook. But blockchain is different. It's a different kind of database where there is no centralized storage. The storage is completely decentralized. The data is stored on thousands of computers across the world. No single entity controls the entire data. That's very important property here. And they are stored in a very secure manner. And the data that is stored on the blockchain is immutable. It means once you store particular data, no one can change the data going forward. And it's also interoperable. That means there are several APIs that you can use to interact with blockchain, whether if you want to store data on a blockchain or if you want to retrieve data from blockchain, you can use several open source interoperable APIs. And it's permissionless. Anyone can join the network and look at the data, and it's very transparent in that sense. So I will not go through the details of blockchain. If you really want to know more details, look me up online on YouTube or on Twitter, I give several talks on blockchain, details of the technology behind blockchain. But essentially, the main point here is blockchain is kind of linked list where you are storing the hashes of previous data in the current data. So if you want to change any particular one data entry, you have to change the entire sequence of data following that particular initial data. So it's very hard to change all the data in the blockchain because you need some consensus to update the blockchain. So for example, Bitcoin has an underlying blockchain. And if you want to change data or if you want to attack Bitcoin for half an hour, it will cost you millions of dollars in computational power to change the data in the blockchain. So it's very secure in that sense. So there is a high cost to attack these databases, decentralized and secure databases. So we have built a new blockchain with several interesting properties. It's scalable, zero transaction fees, and ASIC resistant. I'm not going to go through the details, but we built this blockchain mainly for journalists and with a goal of building a truth machine for journalists. So there is a blockchain where these are 3 layers of our technology where we have the underlying blockchain is built to have all these properties, immutability and tamper-proof data entry. And then we created an API on top of that to store and retrieve data from this blockchain. On top of that, most importantly, we created an iOS app where, and as a journalist, all you need to know is the existence of this iOS app. Everything else happens in the backend. So if you use our iOS app, it's very similar to a camera app. So once you take a photo, at the time when you take the photo, we capture the time and the location and several other metadata. For example, the type of lens you are using. Are you using flash or not? What kind of orientation are you using? So several properties of the camera will be used. For example, are you really taking a photo in a 3D environment or are you taking a photo of a photo? So if you're taking a photo of an old photo, that's considered a fake photo, correct? So we detect all those. We detect whether you are in a 3D environment using camera depth sensing and also LiDAR sensors whenever it's available on the camera, on the phone. And the most important point here is you can verify the authenticity of a photo with just one click. So for example, if someone shared this photo of Joe Biden, with just one click, you can verify that it is from November 2019. It's not from November 2020. So fact checkers right now, you spend a lot of time to search on the internet these photos and verify whether they're real or fake. So we are making their job very easy so that they can simply verify the photo, authenticity of the photo in just one click. And the most important property here is, I said that we are storing this information on a blockchain, but the photos and your profile information, they are not stored on a blockchain. Only the hashes are stored on the blockchain. So it preserves privacy. As I said, these hashes look very random. So when you're storing only the hashes, it preserves your privacy. You're not storing the actual data. And we can also keep track of the entire provenance of the content. For example, after you took a photo, maybe you made some changes. Maybe you increased the brightness or decreased the brightness, or you made some very harmless edits. So we want to track all those edits on a blockchain. Whenever there is an edit, we store the hashes of those edits on a blockchain. So we want to completely track the provenance of the photos from the time you captured it till the time you published it online or you broadcasted it on a TV network. So that makes sure that there are no malicious people making malicious edits. So there are several types of device security. So this is where the technology comes in and helps you secure your content. For example, iOS itself gives you several inbuilt security properties. And then on top of that, we have API security and then blockchain security and the provenance security and so on. And these photos can be embedded into any article. For example, let's say you are a photojournalist. You are a team of journalists and you have a photojournalist and you have a journalist who is writing the actual article. So once you take the photo, you can embed that photo in any article. And once you embed that, anyone can click on the photo and verify the authenticity and the metadata with just one click. So just like you can embed any Instagram photo, you can embed these photos also. So the main difference is that you can verify the authenticity of the photo in very easily. So that is the first part where technology can be used to build a truth machine. So as I mentioned, there is a problem of fake photos and fake videos. So we want to use technology to create photos that can be verified very quickly. So that is the first part where we can use technology to create provably real photos and also verify their authenticity quickly. On the other hand, we also have to detect fakes. For example, we cannot right away expect everyone to use this technology to take photos, right? It takes a lot of time for people to adopt these technologies. For instance, early stages of internet, the security was a real problem, and it took almost 2 decades to implement the entire security stack. Even now, there are some security vulnerabilities. So we want to have, so there are tools to detect security attacks. So just like that, we need tools to detect fakes. For example, if someone took a photo using a different camera or shared an old photo, how do we detect whether it is real or fake? So this is where AI can help. There are several AI algorithms that can be used to detect whether a photo is real or fake. For example, if someone shared a photo, but if it is created using one of these deepfake algorithms, or if they made edits using Photoshop or any of these photo editing software, they can be detected. Again, interestingly, AI comes here to help us. So for example, here are some rules that can be implemented inside AI algorithms. So whenever you see, in fact, sometimes you can see them in the videos. Sometimes they're very clear, sometimes they are not clear. So we need actual algorithms to find these anomalies. So for example, if you look at some of the fake videos, if you look at carefully, the boundary of a face are blurred because they are swapped with a fake face. So if you look very carefully, the boundaries of the faces are blurred, or sometimes the skin tone is different. For example, if you look at the first fake photo that I showed you, let me go back quickly because it's very important. So if you look at the very first photo that here, this one, if you look at this photo carefully, as I said, the photo on the left side is fake. The face of Jeffrey Epstein is brighter than the rest of the photo, right? So that's one signal that it's probably fake. So those kind of signals can be used to separate fakes from real photos or even videos. So sometimes the skin tone is different, and sometimes there are flickering lines around neck and hair. There was a video of Mark Zuckerberg, fake video of him was shared online. And if you look at carefully, there were flickering lines around his neck and hair. And sometimes there are blurs near the mouth and tongue and teeth and so on. Sometimes there is inconsistent skin tone, inconsistent voice. And interestingly, people are also using heartbeat. Some voice recording devices can record very minor voices like heartbeat, very And you can use that to detect whether it's real or fake. And sometimes fake photos or fake videos have unnatural eye blinking and breathing patterns and inconsistent speech and mouth movements. These are very hard to detect by a human being, but they can be very efficiently automated using AI. And sometimes you can see crop defects and boxes, inconsistent video quality. If you look at a video and if some parts of the video are changed, they'll have different video quality and different lighting properties. So there are several rules like this, and they can all be automated using AI, and they're very non-trivial to automate. But this is where AI comes in and really helps us automate all this process. So we have built a technology to automate all this process, and this can be used by anyone, any social media or any media company or journalist to detect whether a photo is real or fake. So this is what I mean by full stack photojournalism. So there should be two parts. One is there should be a source of truth. For example, going forward, we cannot just rely on only detecting. We need some kind of prevention mechanism so that we can verify these photos very quickly. So that's why we have built this truth machine. And our goal is to create world's largest photojournalism community for provably real photos. Hopefully, more and more journalists will adopt this technology, and we'll have a nice trust layer on the internet so that any photo, any source, for example, any professional cameras or Android devices, they can use this technology. And once you capture the photo with this technology inbuilt, you can verify the authenticity very quickly. So that is one side of the story, where you have a truth machine that the truth can be verified very quickly. And on the other hand, we also need this detection, where we need APIs and web interface to detect fakes originating from different sources. So this is what I mean by full stack photojournalism, that something that has a source of truth that can be verified very quickly, and something that also has a detection mechanism. So recently there is a trend of journalists moving away from big corporations, big media corporations, and starting their own independent journalism websites on the internet. So here are a couple of news. For example, in Thailand, they threatened to censor media outlets when there were protests. So, and several Hungarian journalists launched their own independent news site because they were worried about the government website. So this is all driving something called creativity economy in the last couple of years. So several journalists are becoming independent. They want to have their own independent voice. And if they are trying to create a video news, they are using YouTube. There are several journalists using YouTube to post their videos. And there are several journalists using podcasts if they have an audio, if they want to do journalism using audio. And if they want to write articles, they are using Substack. There's a new tool called Substack. And especially during the last 1 year, their user base is growing rapidly because several journalists are becoming independent. So this is where I want to address one of the common questions: is AI trying to replace all the jobs? AI is definitely trying to replace jobs in some categories. For example, if you're working in marketing, let's say most of the time you're getting some leads and ranking them based on how probable they are to convert into a paying customer. So those kind of tasks can be automated. Again, if you have a design, if you want to design PowerPoint slides. For example, when I was designing these PowerPoint slides, PowerPoint automatically suggested me several design ideas. So I don't have to hire a new designer to design my PowerPoint slide. So several of such tasks can be automated, but there are several tasks that require human creativity, and journalism is definitely one of them. So when you're taking photos, it's not just about taking a photo, it's about the human instinct, whether that photo is really worth taking. Is there an inspiring story worth telling behind that photo? If you look at several of these award-winning and Pulitzer Prize-winning photos, there is a human instinct when the journalist took that photo. So that cannot be replaced by AI. So all these tools are helping creative people, creative journalists, make their voice heard. So we want to be that tool for photojournalism and true photography. And in the last 2 years, we have seen a very big rise in the adoption of these creative tools. So that's all I have. And these are my contacts. So I want to make it very light and just tell you the two sides of the story on the preventing fakes and detecting fakes, because this is one of the major problems online today. So these are different ways you can contact me. And our iOS app is available, and we also have the fake detection web interface. So if you have any questions, I'm glad to take them now.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Shiva, for joining very early morning with us. And there are a lot of questions for you from our participants. And now my colleague Nino PK shall moderate the question and answer session.
Thank you.
Hello, Dr. Shiva.
Hi.
I'm Ninu, and I'll be moderating our question answer session. So shall we begin?
Yes, let's get started.
Okay. So this is our first question. Do you think political parties are using fake videos of opposition at large to shame them? And do you think this happens in India too?
Yes, it is. It is happening. In fact, especially in the last 2 years, I'm spending a large proportion of my time fact checking. So if you look at that Joe Biden video that came out just one day before the election, saying that he is wearing masks in public, but he's not wearing masks on aeroplane, right? So, and that was shared by politicians. In fact, that was shared by some people that are currently in the White House. It's, I don't know how to even categorize such misinformation. And that has become a very big problem across the world. Political parties, people in power are actually sharing these fake photos and fake videos with the intention to start a misinformation campaign or malign the other party. And especially it's also happening in India. In fact, if I look at all the fake news, if I rank them by country, the number 1 is India. Number 2 is probably US. For example, I shared on one slide, I showed you a couple of fake photos. And if you look at the origin of those fake photos, they're actually the first time when they are shared by some politicians on the internet. And this is coming from all sides of the political spectrum. And to be frank, in the last 2 years, when I see all these fake photos and fake videos, I really lost trust, about any content that I see online, especially anything that is potentially political in tone. So it's really creating a post-truth dystopia. So whenever somebody forwards some photo or video to me, I immediately fact check. I don't take things for granted. So the short answer to your question is it is happening, and it is being done by powerful people also. So we have to be really careful. So we have to make these people accountable. So the fact checking after the fact that they already shared does not work, because as I mentioned, fake news spread at 6 times faster than the real news. So the damage has already been done. And then if you're doing fact check later, the actual fact checking news do not spread on social news that fast. So we have to be careful, and we have to have prevention mechanisms.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Now we will move on to the next question of the session.
Okay.
Do AI make mistake during the during the fake detecting process, which can lead to misunderstanding a news?
That's a good question. So when I say, we are using AI to detect fakes, I am personally focusing on preventing fake photos and fake videos. So there's an entire different research on detecting fake news. Sometimes people can write an entire story just in text, making up a false story. So those are very hard to detect. Sometimes most of the time, we need fact checkers to actually check the entire story. But if you look at photos and videos, sometimes we do get false negatives. In my experience in the last 2 years, when we analyzed lots of photos, the accuracy of the algorithm is very high, 99.9%. But the small percentage when we see false negatives, that means we see a photo that is real, but sometimes the algorithm categorizes that as fake. That only happens when the photo is very low quality, when the photo is of very low resolution. So especially India, most of these photos and videos are optimized for mobile devices and optimized for low bandwidth. So many of these photos have very low bandwidth. For example, just a couple of days, one of my friends sent me a photo. We have seen some abnormalities, but those abnormalities are mainly because the photo is of very low quality. In that case, what we do is we search for similar images online and we get more context. For example, in this particular case, we got several similar photos that are taken from different angles. So if you have an event and several photos are taken from different angles, that is a high probable truth that this event actually happened. So there are some false negatives, but they happen mostly when the photos and videos are of very low quality. So we have to be careful. So what I want to say here is, even though we are using AI to detect fake, there should always be a human being at the end to make sure that, okay, does this really make sense? Or is this a real manipulation? Or is it, harmless manipulation? So there should be some human component in this entire process. But we want to make their job very easy.
Okay, thank you, sir. We will move on to the next question of the session.
Okay.
How are LiDAR sensors going to evolve the area of fact-checking? This is because the latest iPhone has a LiDAR sensor. This is the question.
Good question. So as I mentioned, one of the common questions I get is, you have developed this app, and what if I take a photo of a photo using your app, right? So that's where we use depth sensing. So most of these latest iPhones have multiple cameras. So if you just have multiple cameras, you can also already do some basic depth sensing. But if you look at last couple of versions of iOS devices, they have LiDAR sensors where you can map the entire 3D environment. For example, if I point the camera at my desk, I can scan my entire desk and get a 3D model of my study desk, right? So mainly the intention, the reason why they developed LiDAR sensors on mobile devices is for AR purposes, augmented reality. But it can, of course, be used in journalism. When you're taking a photo, just use these LiDAR sensors and multiple cameras to make sure that you are in a 3D world. And you are not just taking a photo of a photo or a video of a video. In fact, the reason why this is very important is just last week, during the election counting, there was a video that was shared on social media. And that video was, somebody played a video on their monitor, on their computer monitor. They manipulated the video and they played the manipulated video on their computer and recorded that using their cell phone. So that's how they spread it on social media. So we need these LiDAR sensors to make sure that it's to distinguish between 3D environments and 2D environments.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Now we will move on to the next question of the session.
Okay.
What persuasive strategies make fake news seems to be true?
Yeah. So interestingly, so the very first slide, if you look at my very first slide, I mentioned 3 things that are evolving, right? The first thing is in the last 15 years, people got more and more addicted to social networks. And social networks and other even media companies, they want us to click an article. So there is this concept of clickbait. So they write an article and they write 3 different titles for the same article, and they do an A/B testing to see which gets more clicks. So on one hand, we have this social media networks trying to get more and more attention from people. On the other hand, we have these clickbaits, right? So, and then combined with the recent rise in fake news, what people have done is whenever they try to create a fake news article, they use all kinds of strategies. They first make the title very attractive. And once you make the title very attractive, or the image very attractive, and you post it on social media, let's say you have certain political beliefs. The social media companies already know your political beliefs based on the articles that you read before and based on the content that you have seen. And this fake news with this clickbait, they'll be recommended to people who are, who have very high probability to click on that. So that's already some kind of persuasion is going on there, right? And in addition to that, they also write the title in a very provocative manner. For example, the case that I told you about this Joe Biden, they wrote a title saying that he's really lying, right? He's wearing mask in public and he's not wearing mask in private. So that really provokes people, and people immediately jump into conclusion, and people have this feeling that they have to share first on social media to their friends, and they share it quickly, and that creates chaos and confusion, right? So people are really using these persuasive techniques, and one of the most common thing is having a very clickbait title.
Thank you, sir. Do you have time to answer 2 more questions?
Yeah, sure. I have time.
Thank you. So the next question is by a student of ours. This question is by Ramgopal Harikrishnan. He is our student, and he wants to know, can Instagram be used in aiding and abetting constructive journalism? Do you want me to repeat the question? So can you hear me? Dr. Shiva, can you hear me? It seems we have a technical problem, but please stay tuned with us. We are rectifying the issue right away. We're sorry, we have a technical difficulty. Okay, it seems we lost connection. Okay, I'll repeat the question one more time. Can Instagram be used in aiding and abetting constructive journalism?
leading and abetting constructive journalism. So give me 1 minute. Yeah, so there are several people using Instagram for to post their photos, but most of the time they are used by photographers. For example, not necessarily photojournalists, but mostly photographers. Again, it can be used. The positive thing about Instagram or Facebook is that they have hundreds of millions of users. So you can really make your voice heard. But the negative portion is also that because there are so many people share their selfies, they have lots of filters, and they share their breakfast photos and personal photos. So the point is the real journalism gets lost in this noise. So that's one of the main problems in most of the social networks. I know several photojournalists or even media companies, they have accounts on Twitter and Instagram, but their voice is really getting lost in all the noise, right? That's the main problem. Of course, those tools can be used. So that's why we have developed one tool mainly focused on journalism, on true journalism.
Okay, thank you, sir. Sorry, we had a technical disturbance in between. We're extremely sorry for that. Shall we move to the last question of the session?
Okay.
So this is the last question. What are the precautions to be taken by us from becoming a victim of fake news or propaganda attack?
Yeah, very, very, very important questions. So here we can build all these kinds of technologies and prevention technologies and detection technologies, but finally it's up to the human being to really distinguish what is real, what is fake. So I want to give one example. This happened maybe 1 year ago. This was an incident in India. Without going into the details of actual incident, there was a fake news about some event, some protest or something that was posted on WhatsApp, and people really believed it, and they actually went to that location and fought with each other, and a couple of people were killed. Right. So it started by this fake news campaign, and it actually killed real people. Right. So ultimately, people are responsible to. People have the choice how to react to this fake news. So one advice I strongly give to people is whenever you see an article that is a clickbait or potentially polarizing, don't immediately share it. Do not share it. Wait for some time, maybe wait for a day before sharing it, and do your fact check. So first, do your fact check and wait. Usually these fact checks come 24 hours later because it takes some time. So do not immediately share it, even if you agree with the narrative or even if you disagree with the narrative. And also do not take any quick decisions. For example, if you see some fake photo, do not just use name calling to address some people, and that creates a snowball effect, right? And then it will destroy friendships and families and so on. So do not share quickly, do not react quickly, always do the fact check. And there are fact checking websites online. Always wait for 24 hours before you come to any conclusions, and also control your anger. I guess some of these are actually made to make people angry. So ultimately, you have to do the you have to have a self control.
So that was the end of our question and answer session. Thank you so much, Dr. Shiva, for taking time to answer all the questions. Now, I'll hand over the session to Manju ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shiva, for the demonstration of a great tool through that for photojournalism. Actually, fake news, misinformation, fake photos, all these are affecting our democracy, people verdict, etc. And the people who are good in promoting fake are becoming the rulers of the world. So that should change. We have to bring change. And your session was really helpful for that. And best wishes for your mission to put a truth machine in everyone's pocket and facilitate truthfulness in photography. It is great to hear your thoughts, and we look forward to having you for advanced training session. Thank you, Shiva. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you all for organizing this.
Yeah. So we are concluding today's session. Emerging technologies in artificial intelligence, blockchain, IoT, and natural language processing are set to make great contribution to media and journalistic practice. We journalists need to have a more open approach in adopting these technologies. Computer scientists, AI technologists, and the media professionals need to collaborate to develop best tools that would benefit journalism. We are having our closing day session of this Global Summit on next Thursday, 19th November, morning 11 a.m. India time. We have Jonathan Stray from AI Partnerships USA, Gulhan Canula, Head of Freedom of Expression at UNESCO Paris, and Neerav Parekh, CEO of VPhrase India, joining us live. For the kind information of participants, we are providing participation certificates for all who submit feedback form. Please use the link shared in the chat box to submit your feedback. Looking forward to seeing you again on next Thursday, 19 November. Remember, it's morning 11 a.m. India time. Till then, stay safe. Good night from Team Nagar, Maranellur, Trivandrum, Kerala.